Rose. I am so excited to have you here. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So many things that I want to say. I'm going to try to shut up. But the first thing that I want to say is I was so empathetic watching you at the RNC because, first and foremost, your speech was amazing. And I think everybody agreed that your speech was amazing. But I knew what was going to follow immediately after, which was sort of this purity test because I had lived it before. So I was in your shoes. I guess now it's been like 8-9 years ago.
So this is when Candace Owens, I go back to being like grifter, because I'm not, I don't care, right? Like, what are we doing? Okay, so it's her show. She can do whatever. It is what it is, right? But what are women promoting? Christian women at that. Amber Rose, no. Don't care. No. You have enough degeneracy going on in this world, and you promote Amber Rose? Okay. But let's go ahead and get into this very narcissistic conversation that's getting ready to happen between two women. All right, y'all, let's do this.
And I just realized that everything I was being told was a lie. And it was specifically started on the BLM stuff, like on the Black America stuff. And that's all I said. And then my remarks went viral. I was being invited to all these places and I wasn't ready to then have my feet held to the fire about every single position. Well, what has she ever said about pro-life? What has she ever said about this? Is she actually a conservative? I'm like, guys, I'm just saying what I believe in my heart to be true. And now you're trying to put me through a test.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened to you thereafter.
Yeah.
So I guess the first question I just want to ask you is, how are you doing today?
I'm wonderful.
You're good.
Yeah. This isn't the first time I've been canceled or viral or trending on Twitter. You know, I've been down this road several times throughout the years. So,
all right. So if you guys don't know, for maybe some of you good ladies and gentlemen, sorry, who may be watching, may not know. Amber Rose is like I don't even know. She's like an OnlyFans model or something like that. Like, she's a model. She made her fame by becoming Kanye West's girlfriend in the past. And then all of a sudden, you know, she became like famous off of that, off of her looks. You know, a lot of people were saying, oh, the conservatives who were mad about her being, she was at the RNC. This is what this is about. And they're saying, oh my God, they're just mad because it was like a Black woman that was there, you know, and whatever. Amber Rose has made it very clear that she is not Black. Okay. She's from Cape Verde, and she's always been very clear about that. Okay. So, but I don't care. Right. But this girl, she still takes these half naked pictures, OnlyFans model and everything else. The Republican platform, I would have thought, should be conservatism, right? What are we conserving? They bring on Amber Rose to obviously talk about, okay, fighting for Donald Trump. But these are the type of women who promote everything else that's wrong. Like, yes, wrong. We are living in a time right now where women are out here, not all women, but the promoting of degeneracy. Women get more trophies for doing that. Why? I'm not bringing her on. I would not bring her on. I wouldn't.
it's kind of just like, I mean, I slept like a baby this whole week. So
I'm so glad to hear that. So
Yeah.
how were you feeling, I guess, leading up to the speech? Because that's a huge honor
Mhm.
to be speaking in front of the former president and likely future president of the United States.
Right.
How were you feeling leading up to the speech and immediately following it?
So I wrote my speech with one of the writers that works for Trump, right? I told them everything that I wanted to talk about. I didn't want to talk about the border. I didn't want to talk about all that stuff. I wanted to just keep it like, you know, I'm a mom. I want to talk about the economy, inflation, things like that. My story, how I came over to this side. And they wrote something up, and then I kind of put it into my own words, and that's what everyone saw.
If you guys like these clips, please don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much for watching these episodes talking about the inconvenient truth and everything that falls into that.
At the RNC, but I will say, Candace, I did not think anyone would care. I'll be honest with you. I just, I was just like, there's so many speakers going up. No one knows me in the political world. I'm going to go there. And honestly, the whole day before I spoke, maybe there was like some young girls that were like my fans and stuff that wanted pictures. But other than that, no one, really knew who I was there. And right after that speech, boy, I must have taken like 3,000 pictures in 4 days.
Wow.
I
Wow.
promise you, it was like from the morning into the night, downstairs in the hotel, outside at the RNC, walking to the RNC, because they had everything blocked off and stuff. It definitely changed my life. But I don't know, for me, I'm like, I'm just a girl from Philly. Why does anyone care? And then I go online and everyone's like, she's irrelevant. No one cares about what she has to say. No one gives a and then I'm like, okay.
She also promoted the Satanist, the satanic religion or something like that. Like, this is what I mean again about, like, the values are gone. Like, I don't understand. So I have to stop saying I don't understand. But Amber Rose does promote like the Church of Satan. This is what I'm trying to tell you. That it's not making sense, and because we are at this point where people want to win so bad that we're losing the core issues. We're losing the value. And what is it to win? What she says she didn't want to talk about the border or things like that. That matters. It should matter to all Americans. Do you even know what's going on? Right? So what are we doing? And I see people online who say, this is why conservatives lose, because a lot of people did have issues with, like, Matt Walsh was like, what's going on? What is this about? And people say, this is why conservatives always lose. There's a way to make, I don't want to say being a prude or whatever, but there's a way to make a valued life look cool. Like, what? Like, it's not hard to do. To be honest, Candace could do it, but I don't understand why Candace is bringing on Amber Rose.
Okay, no one gives a shit. Let me just go on stage and just say how I feel. And then people give a shit. And I'm like, but I thought they weren't going to give a shit.
Yeah.
So that's what I battle with every time I do something like that.
Well, I knew it was going to be huge for a couple of reasons. The first, and I saw this happening as soon as you put on the MAGA hat, and there was a clip of you, TMZ was basically chasing you, trying to pigeonhole you of like, wait, you belong to us. Like, you're on the left. You're the girl from the slut walk.
Right.
And I know how proprietary Hollywood gets about, if you're in Hollywood, if we've ever promoted you, if we ever put you on a magazine cover, you get in line with these beliefs. Like, these are your political beliefs and you can't change. So I knew hitting the RNC stage, which is such a pendulum swing, they were not going to have that. And then I knew that conservatives, I just don't think that they have thought through the differences. Not all conservatives have thought through the differences between what it means to be a conservative, what it means to be a Republican,
Right.
and what it means to be a Christian.
Mhm.
And they were holding you to a test of, is she a Republican conservative Christian? And the reality is, tons of people can and do vote Republican who are not Christians,
Right.
who are not even necessarily fully conservatives. They're
Right.
like gay married men,
Mhm.
and they vote because they prioritize the economy over their gay
I
identity.
also don't think Donald Trump is very conservative.
Interesting. In what ways?
He's pro-choice. I don't think that's very conservative.
It's definitely not Christian. So people can say you're fiscally conservative, and this kind of gets into it. Like, there needs
Right.
to be a thorough conversation about
Everything is balkanized and it's ridiculous. Okay, so this is why the Democrats win. This is why the left always wins. And see, the thing is, right? I wouldn't even care if, Donald Trump is not conservative. That's a fact, right? And I wouldn't care about this whole Amber Rose thing so much if we didn't legislate social issues, right? Such as marriage, okay? Such as homosexual, so-called gay marriage, okay? We legislate these things, meaning that you need pushback. Everybody should never be 100% in on a legislation. There's supposed to be pushback and checks and balances. And I'll tell you, I know homosexuals who say that this should have never happened because it opened the doors for a lot of other legislations that have come out, especially with this transgender issue that we have, that we talk a lot about on this channel, right? Okay. So we do. So who's on which side, right? So you have Democrats who are, now let's pretend we're playing this game. Me personally, I think everybody's just all in on it together. I'm just really starting to think that, right? But you have Democrats who promote all of this stuff, like, you know, the pride marches and all of this, you know, like, and I'm talking about social issues, right? So it is supposed to be that the other side is promoting less degeneracy, okay, or even putting a stop to it. But then you bring somebody on who is involved with the Church of Satan, has slut walk marches and everything else. Okay, fine, she can vote Republican, but you don't bring somebody on like that to the stage. It's the same. It's like this person, look, to the stage, no. You know, there is Black China who could have easily been the person that did this, right? Black China, who now goes by Angela White, that could have been her. Well, I don't know why. Why didn't they promote Black China with this? It doesn't make any sense. So, but here we are, you know, promoting Amber Rose and what she's into. So so we're just it's both sides are on the same side to me.
What it means to be a Republican versus a conservative versus a Christian, and we haven't had that, and I knew that your feet were going to be held to the fire. Was there any comments that, before we get into like your background and how you ended up there, that impacted you or that you felt upset about, that came at you, or were you just like, I'm good?
Well, I'll be honest with you, the Matt Walsh stuff, it didn't really bother me, but it did, you know, religious people like that is why I went on my atheist journey. And so I was a Christian my whole life. I used to go to church. My mom 7 days a week. You know, I used to go to church with my mom all the time. But I used to run into people like him often. And so for me, it made me just get turned off by the church, and then in turn kind of go on a spiritual journey. I was looking into Buddhism, I was looking into Islam, which was extremely far-fetched for me. And then I landed on atheism because I just never felt comfortable on that side. But I will say, besides that, when I showed up at the RNC, there was a lot of white men in suits. And so I can understand why maybe a person of color or somebody that comes from the left would be intimidated by that, because that's maybe not necessarily the norm that we're used to being around. But after I did that speech, Candace, I spoke to so many people, or they were coming up to me telling me their stories, right? And these are guys that look like they come from generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh no, I came from nothing. You know, I just worked my way up and I figured it out. Or one of the other guys was like, my dad's in prison for murder. I mean, you would think this guy was like, had a billionaire daddy. He was like, no, my dad's in prison for murder. My sister died of fentanyl poisoning. You know, my brother died in the opioid crisis. And so it just, you know, I still had that remnants left of the left in my head, where I have to admit, when I walked in there, I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna hate me, or they're from a different world. And when I started talking to them, I'm like, we're actually all going through the same thing in America right now.
We are. I'll give her that. But the thing is, first of all, for her to say, and this does happen to people, and this is why, like, look, okay, fine. Everybody's been through a journey. I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't walk away from God for a moment. I don't think it necessarily had to do with people. I think it had to do with more myself, whatever. But it is not an excuse, by the way. It is part of my testimony. So I talk about it. It is something that happened. So I'm not going to act like it didn't happen, right? But it's not an excuse to say like, oh, well, people like Matt Walsh is the reason why I stopped going to church and everything else. Like, that doesn't make you any better for saying that, right? Because really the religion doesn't change. Like, God doesn't change. People are people. So there's that. But also, just even, okay, yes, I'm sure they were nice to you, Amber. Like, come on. We still doing this in 2024, that white men in suits are scary. Like, maybe because I'm 40, it wasn't like this in the 90s. It just was not like this. So I guess I come from a different world, but I've never heard black people talk like this. But coming back to like, this is the type of stuff that here we go, right? So here we go.
Amber, do you have any questions or any topics that you think I should discuss with President Trump on the live stream?
Yeah, I said on the Candace Owens interview, I was like, Trump is not very conservative. There's a lot of like super far right conservatives, and I think that is the misconception on the left, that he is like this super militant far right, conservative. He's not. He's very realistic about everything. And so I think, maybe you can have him talk about that. Like, he's still for he's still pro-choice.
Yeah, he is.
You know what I'm saying? He's still pro-choice. And I think a lot of people don't understand, because I get a lot of DMs of like, which is so crazy, white supremacists, walking in like Tennessee and having like this, I don't know, little gathering or whatever. And they're like, these are your people.
So the point of this video is her saying that like that Trump is pro-choice. Like, listen, he's not that conservative. Okay, the conservatives are not that conservative. Like, what does that even mean? Like, it's like, yeah, well, they're not, right? Okay, again, I know Donald Trump's not that conservative. I already know that. I think it's for the people. It has to be a grassroots thing to bring back conservatism, to bring back values, right? And so, like, Bryson Gray says, Amber Rose wants y'all to know that Trump is pro-choice, and that's why liberals should support him, right? Like, and then it's always this championing of abortion. Like, I'm so tired of hearing this issue. I am. But anyway, look, Candace has her show. She could do whatever she wants with her show. That's good for her and her platform. I'm not saying that you have to be, you have to like keep people out kind of thing. I just don't think that they need to be the ones that are on stage. That's number one. Number two, let's not have this conversation with Amber and just be like, yeah, I knew conservatives were going to hold you to the fire. And I knew they were going to give you a hard time and the purity test. She's on the stage representing a party that is supposed to be conservative, right? So, yeah, they're going to ask that question. Period. They're going to ask questions. There's nothing wrong with that. And so this is the part with Candace where I'm like, you're still a feminist, which is antithetical to being a Christian. I'm not going to come for her. She has a lot to do. That's her journey. I have my own journey. We all have our own journeys, right? But it's still antithetical to Christianity. This is feminism kind of talk like, oh, yeah, well, you could vote Republican and they're just going to give you a hard time. Ha. You don't have to be Christian to vote Republican. Like, okay, we're saying that. Okay, but to represent the Republican Party, and then it's supposed to be, again, conservative. I keep saying it. And then you sound, she's the left still. So it's like, okay, everybody's everybody now. Okay. This person, I'm sure, supports transgender movements and all kinds of stuff. So what are we doing? That's the real question. Y'all let me know. Maybe I took it too far. Let me know. I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.